on Facebook. Um, Good to see everybody. It's 12 o'clock. I told you I would be here maybe like 12:02. You know me, I'm never on time. But I am here. I wanted to talk to you guys today. Last night I was giving a little talk about codependent relationships. A lot of people are learning a lot of their family dynamics right now. So this might be a really good time to address all the things that you kind of want to do in life in general. Um, uh, every time I come in, I try to have a different one of my shirts on, and this shirt here. I wanted to talk about it for a second. This is a shirt that I give out to my clients whenever they complete my program. I give them this shirt with a trophy whenever they complete, because a lot of my clients didn't graduate high school. They didn't graduate pretty much anything. So I don't like to do just a little piece of paper that gets lost in the shuffle. I try to give my clients stuff that they can sit on a mantle somewhere that shows that they completed the program, and a shirt that says they graduated. So it's pretty cool to be able to give back to the community whenever I can. So today I wanted to talk to you guys um, about spirituality. Spirituality is one of the things that a lot of people have problems with when it comes to recovery, especially with going in the rooms or with meetings. A lot of people struggle with being with the spiritual aspect, with the God aspect. What I will say about the God aspect is that the 12 steps that people see right now are kind of a watered down version of what the real 12 steps was, that was created. I'm not saying that it's better or worse, but the old original 12 steps that came um, out of the four group. This right here, it really talked about like God on a religious standpoint, which I don't take an opinion on either side of that. But what I will say is that the spiritual aspect is a major component into recovery. Whenever I see clients, a lot of times they come into the program. The first question that I ask them during an assessment is, what do they think about God? Um, and the reason why I ask that question is to see whether or not the person is spiritual, to see if the person is religious, or to see if the person just doesn't have either one of those aspects. And I get answers from all different perspectives. But the one thing that I will say about it is that it doesn't when in the recovery process, a lot of times the spiritual aspect is going to be that connection that you're going to have whenever it gets to the point where you can't make a phone call. You're going to be in a situation whenever you can't get out of, you didn't plan for it, whatever it is, you're going to have to end up needing some other way of fighting something off. And a lot of times we're tired, we're hungry, we're angry, we're emotional. And so a lot of times these relapses and these cravings will take a hold, and then all of a sudden you can't get from underneath it. So whenever you use the spiritual aspect, it gives you a connection to something outside of yourself. And so what I wanted to talk to you guys about is what makes spiritual an important thing. So, have you ever walked into a room or walked into like a cafeteria or some wide open area, and you walked in and you looked around and you could feel somebody looking at you? And whenever you get that feeling, you kind of look around and you're trying to figure out who's looking at me. I get this feeling. And then all of a sudden you look at this person and you look at them eye to eye, and then they turn their head like they wasn't looking at you. So my thing is that I tell people is, how did that happen? If we're not a spiritual being, then how can you walk into a room and feel that somebody's looking at you, but then look back at them and then recognize that they're looking at you? If you can come up with whatever other reason that can happen, then other than that it's a spiritual thing, then I would love to know what that answer is. Because there is it it's something that literally connects you and another person without talking, without communicating, but it's just a way that two people can look at a situation or be in a situation and have like-mindedness. So I'm not talking about religion. A lot of people get spirituality and religion mixed up. Religion comes with rules. Um, it comes with a standard. There's a measurement, and you either measure up or you don't measure at all. So this was a major aspect for people because they're always wondering how I don't want to follow a particular type of God. I don't want to be Muslim. I don't want to be Buddhist. I don't want to be Christian. I don't want to be, and the thing about recovery is you don't need to have a religious basis to find recovery. But what I will tell you is that you definitely do need some type of spiritual connection. It could be to a grandparent. It could be to a group of people. It could be, a matter of fact, a spiritual connection could ultimately be whatever you want it to be. But what I will tell you this is that you have to find that spiritual connection that's real. Um, we can I had one person say, "Oh, I can make a doorknob my higher power." Okay, if you want to make it a higher power, then you can. But the question is that if you get to a point where you relapse, or you get into points where you can't think, or you can't maneuver your life, and then all of a sudden, I mean, who are you going to talk to? You're going to talk to a doorknob. If the doorknob doesn't help you get better, then you might want to think about getting a different type of a higher power. A higher power in the spiritual aspect is just something that reminds you who you are. Um, like some people, they have like a deceased grandparent who was very good to them, that led them through a lot of things in their life, that gave them really good advice, and now they're no longer here. So some people make that their higher power. It's just something that connects them, that reminds them of the type of behaviors that they need to be having or what they need to be doing in life. So a lot of times the spiritual aspect is the only thing that's going to keep you sober, or to keep you in line with regular society. A lot of time when it comes to us, we want to live in a way that is only about us. Most of us are selfish beings anyway. And so with being selfish, we don't ever want to reach out and do anything else for anybody else. So while I'm talking, if anybody has any question or will have an input, I definitely would love to hear from you guys. Um, but spiritual is an aspect, and but I ask you guys, I mean, how do you guys feel about spiritual things, and where do you think spirituality comes from? Because if we think that we are just humans without a spiritual connection, then we've lost the whole essence of who we are as people. The one thing that I will tell you is that the spiritual aspect, once you figure that out and you understand the link between you and a higher power, you start to feel this movement that comes within you, and it then creates the law of attraction. The law of attraction is one of the major components of spirituality. If you, I know that I always talk about the belief systems, but if you believe that you are poor, then everything in your life will continue to cause you to be more, to have less money. Every time you go to the bank, every time you go to the bank, every time you go to your mailbox, it's going to be paperwork. It's going to be something that's going to be taking more money out of what you already have, because you already see it, you feel it, and you just attract negativity. But whenever you start to really think about positive, and you start to attract positive, then you start to see things start adding on to. You start seeing money start coming your direction. You start to get jobs. You start making better decisions that will bring things closer to you. So that's just a major aspect for me that I wanted to definitely talk to you about. I wanted to say, Rosie wrote in that said, in recovery and in everyday life, you have to believe that there is something out there that is guiding you, helping you along. Everyone needs to keep an open mind to this. Very good, Rosie, you're correct. Because if you keep an open mind, and I'm going to tell you about change, if you're not open, if you're not willing, and you're not ready to change, then you won't accept the fact that you need a spiritual connection. Um, but you know, and with that, if you truly start to believe, because you wrote in there, if you believe that there is something, and it starts off with a belief pattern. And when you start to believe that you're worth it, when you start to believe that you should have that job, you start to walk into an interview different. And then all of a sudden you wonder why these jobs, you start getting more jobs. But if you walk in there already thinking that you have already lost the job, then you won't acquire the job. So that's the one thing that I want to talk to you about. Spirituality is a big portion of attracting things, and attracting negative or positive energy. And before I let you go, I wanted to talk to you. I had a client come in the other day, and she was telling me that she's struggling because she thought that after 2 years of being sober that her life was going to get better, and her life consistently gets worse. And what I had to tell her was, it said that you have to understand that the world is equally balanced. Just like how the earth spins around, and it never gets off tilt, the same way that the stars in the sky moves along, the way our body is a systems approach, and it always works together, is that the spiritual aspect of the world is that it's always going to be balanced. And what I mean by that is, if you're going through negative times in your life, if you hold on, that negative balance will swing back around and make a positive balance. And she was just like, but there's nothing that I don't feel like I have energy. I don't think that I have that I'm going to be able to make it because I keep putting in so much time. But what I told her was, is just like a battery, a 9-volt battery. I was like, if you put your finger on just the negative, you will feel nothing. If you put your hand on just the positive side of a 9-volt battery, you will still not feel anything. But the day that you put your hand on the negative and the positive, that's when the energy starts to come. And so, like I was telling her, sometimes we have to have negative things happen in our life so that we can have the equal balance when positive comes around. And I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes we're not always going to be on a mountain. Sometimes we're going to have to be on the mountain, and sometimes we're going to be in the valley. The problem lies is when you think you hit the valley, you forget about the mountain. And if you forget about the mountain, then you will never strive to get back up the mountain. And I'm going to tell you, in recovery reminds me of skating uphill. Because if you stop skating, if you stop moving your feet, you will definitely roll back down. And so I want you to know today, is if you take one thing away from it here, is that you continuously believe that there is something higher than you. And if you can say that you believe that when you walk in a room and someone looks at you from across the room, and you can tell that they are looking at you, and you can feel that they're looking at you, then that means that you're a spiritual person. And if you're a spiritual person, that means that you can understand the spiritual aspects of recovery. So, hey, I just wanted to tell you, thank you guys for following me. I hope today you got something out of a spiritual talk. I mean, I have my own opinion about religion and spirituality. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in the whole aspect of that. But I'm not a religious person. I'm a person that loves connection. I love people. I don't judge people because I know that they have the ability to change. And whenever you get that spiritual connection, you will definitely start to treat people differently, and you will start to get outside of yourself and then give stuff back to people, because the law of attraction, you start to get so much that if you hold on to it, you'll lose it. So if you start acquiring, then you start giving it away. And those are spiritual details. Whenever you start to give away stuff, then you start to attract more things to you. So just a little talk about spirituality, and I hope it helps you guys. So stay in the house, stay away from people as much as possible, and definitely stay out of trouble. All right. Have a good day.